Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, today we're going to talk about real estate. Imagine that.
No, say it isn't so.
No, we're going to talk about a report that came out of Harvard, and it was reported by the New York Times, where 2023 was the worst year ever to be a renter. More people in 2023 were burdened by high rent as a percentage than any year previously. We've got a bunch of data we're going to do. This was a New York Times article. There was also another article we got information out of. Half of U.S. renters are cost burdened by their housing. And then we have a bunch of charts and a bunch of actual data from the actual report. It's very cool, very interesting.
Okay, so I have to share this with you. I sent him one of the articles, and he's scrolling through the article, and the glee when he found the charts was over the top. It was funny. I wish I would have recorded it. It was funny. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm moving on.
Okay. So my prediction is that 2023 will be the second worst year ever to be a renter. The 2024 will be the first year. Guys, it's going downhill to be a renter. The data we're going to show you is probably going to change your life.
Oh, wow.
If you're thinking about investing in real estate, if you are an investor, or if you're thinking about buying, it's actually pretty interesting information. So we'll go through it. We'll talk about it.
Okay, well, I had a donut today that changed my life, too.
It totally changed your life. A donut. It was pretty good.
Yes.
We're not going to give a shout out to the donut place. It was a gift from another agent.
Yes.
Gift from an agent. Okay, so we'll start with we'll through the article. Okay, here's the first quote from the article. In 2022, half of all U.S. renters were spending at least 30% of their income on housing and utilities, a threshold that researchers considered cost-burdened. That figure went up by 2 million in just 3 years to a record high of 22.4 million, according to America's Rental Housing, a study by the Joint Center for Housing Studies, Harvard University. It was worse in 23. It's going to be even worse in 2024 because the data we're going to show you, there's the total number of homes relative to people is shrinking, and it's getting worse.
Right. Homes are not shrinking. It's the number of available homes that is shrinking.
Yeah. Okay, Juana.
Yes.
22. Okay, so 22.4 million are spending at least 30% of their income. But here's what's interesting. Among those renters, 12.1 million had severe burdens,
Right.
paying over half of their income for housing, 12.1 billion. Also an all-time high, all-time high. Nearly a third of renters had household incomes of less than $30,000 in 2022. Those people are probably not single-family homes.
Probably not.
Where are they?
They're probably in apartments. And, you know, we do understand that there are a lot of people struggling out there, and we feel for them. So we're not making fun of them.
No.
Okay, so I want to be very clear on that.
Okay. The report highlights how much tougher things have gotten for middle-income renters, particular households that make $30,000 to $75,000 each year, up 5.4 percentage points, but that partly reflects just how poor the conditions already were for the lowest income earners.
Right, so that kind of gives you an idea. I mean, people are not necessarily making minimum wage, and they're still having to pay a substantial portion of their earnings toward housing. So that is why this is such a concern.
Okay. The median asking rent price is 22% higher compared to the same time in 2019, underscoring the significant price pressures renters continue to face. Wages haven't gone up 22% since 2019.
No, they haven't. So here's kind of a couple things that are at play, right? So one of the things that is in play is, of course, all the stimulus that the government put out with COVID. All of that pushed rents up, and rents did not back down. And where they did back down, they didn't back down enough. And then we also have, kind of to add insult to injury, we have inflation. So inflation's been high, and that's also kept rents high in places, and in other places it's exacerbated them still. So the people in this segment toward the bottom are struggling under both of those burdens, and that's a lot of the reason why this is happening to them.
If you had bought a median home in 2019 in Vegas, today that rent would be $2,100. That's a median rent in Vegas.
Right.
If you had got a 3.5% FHA loan, so all you had to do is put 3.5% down and financed it, even if you didn't refinance it in 2021 when interest rates went to below 3%, okay, you probably would be paying $1,600 a month in your mortgage payment. Now, people would have said, but that's dumb because you can rent that same house for $1,200 or $1,300. Why would you pay $1,600 to own it when you could rent it for $1,200 or $1,300 a month? Well, here we are. That same person that bought the house in 2019 is still paying $1,600, but the renters are now paying, in Vegas, they're paying $2,100 for a house.
Right, which is kind of what we're trying to point out with this is as time goes on, renters will continue to struggle and struggle even more, as opposed to somebody who owns their home and is making a mortgage payment for themselves, as opposed to tenants that are making someone else's mortgage payment. Those people who are paying their own mortgage payment have a fixed housing cost versus the people who are making other people's mortgage payment who have a housing cost over which they have no control.
Here's the next quote. The study noted the price of rent in the U.S. has outpaced income gains for decades, but the share of cost-burdened renters grew across all income brackets in 2022. The findings showed the median amount of residual income renters had left over after paying their monthly housing costs plummeted to an all-time low of $310. So if you're a renter, you have $310. Now you're probably saying, but wait, homeowners have less because they pay more. No, think about the scenario we just gave. If you have $310 left over and you're paying $2,100 a month rent, the person who bought the house in 2019 has $500 more. So they have $810 left over. They have more money at the end of the day, which is why the stat that homeowners have 40 times the net worth. This is one of the reasons.
Right. The other thing to keep in mind is other costs have gone up, right? So, for example, here in Southern Nevada, our costs for electricity have gone up tremendously in the last 3 years. Costs for natural gas for heating our homes, those have gone up quite a bit in the last 3 years as well. So we've all had to absorb those, but tenants have a harder time absorbing those because not only are they absorbing the increase in their utility costs, but they're having to also absorb the increase in rent costs, while a homeowner is just having to absorb the increase in utility costs, but not in housing costs.
The pain of high rental costs is far from over. That was a quote from the article. I just took a shot of that to show you. It's literally every year that you rent, you're worse off than if you had just bought a house. And it just gets worse every month, right?
Right, it does.
Every month.
It does, because somebody who is who's making their own mortgage payment is putting money into their own pocket because a part of that mortgage payment pays down the loan. Therefore, you're increasing your equity in the home, while if you're paying rent, no part of that increases your net worth. No part of that is tax deductible. No part of that is helping you build your future.
Here's something else. This is very interesting. I'm just going to paraphrase this. I'll put it up. You guys can read it. Rental stock is aging and needs improved investments in energy efficiency and climate risk mitigation. The rental stock is older than it's ever been. The median age was 44 years in 2021. 2 decades ago, it was 34 years. The main reason for this is in the last decade, we've underbuilt new homes.
Right.
Substantially underbuilt, like less than half as many as a normal decade. The last time we built as few homes as we've built in the last 15 years. The last 15-year period was the Great Depression. Right? Now, here's the other problem for this. 18 million occupied rental units are in areas with substantial expected losses from weather, climate hazards, wildfires, flooding, earthquakes, areas. This is an actual thing. We lose about 125,000 single-family houses a year. Gone, destroyed, removed from the housing supply.
Right.
And then we have to, so those new home numbers you see are include replacing those. These are not just, it's not like the house is there forever, and then if we add 600,000 houses, we have 2 million households form a year, we had 600,000 houses, but we're also using 125,000. So we really didn't add 600,000 houses. We added like 475,000 houses.
Right.
Right? What does that look like if we keep doing this 10, 20 years, what we've done the last 10 years or last 2 decades?
Well, so obviously housing is just going to get more expensive, and it's going to become even less affordable. You know, and what's interesting is, without getting political, you know, government programs are trying to mitigate this, and in my opinion, they're not doing it wisely and not being good stewards of the public funds, because what they're doing is they're doing subsidies for the tenants, which in effect is actually subsidizing the landlords, rather than providing economic incentives for builders to build these units. So an economic incentive would be, for example, a low-cost interest rate for the builder to build whatever affordable housing units there are, and still rent them at market rate. But by providing these low-interest loans, then they're incentivizing more building, and more building is what we need. Less concern about what that more building costs as far as for the end user, and more concern about availability, because the more availability you have, the more the market forces will dictate the price, and that will bring down the price.
Here's a chart. This is the renter cost burden, and this is every place there is a severe cost burden, and you can see it's pretty much everywhere. There are, now the areas in white are basically not populated. Okay.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say
There's
that.
nobody there.
Okay, I have friends in some of those places.
No, you don't have friends in any of those places. Okay, one of those places is Alaska, where basically the whole state is not populated.
You have a niece in Alaska.
She's in Anchorage. She's in that blue area. Okay, she's not up there in the white area where it's just, if you flew over it, that's because it's snow. Okay, look, most of these places are, this is where all the people are, if you look at this chart. Matter of fact, I'll bet if you're watching this video right now, you're in an area that is either that clay-colored brown or dark blue. I'll bet most of you, 90% of you, are in one of those areas. And if you're not, it's because you don't know where you really, like there are probably some people, based on the comments, that could not pick out where they are on the map. They're just like, I don't know where I am. That's what they did this thing where like people walked and they said, point on the map where like our town is. And people would be like, they couldn't pick out where they were, right? Okay, bottom line is, you're in one of these areas, so don't have to worry. I'm not going to make you do geography in public, okay? Okay,
but here's the interesting thing. You know, Nevada in particular, Las Vegas gets accused of, hey, you know, the reason why your housing costs are so high against your income is because you guys have a bunch of low-paying jobs, which I've taken exception to. But putting that aside, you look at the rest of this map, and, you know, a lot of those places that are in the bright orange are not necessarily known for low-paying jobs. So you can see that this is a problem across the country in lots of different areas. And again, I think the issue is population versus availability of housing units.
Okay. If you will notice on this chart is Clark County, Nevada, and I'm going to point out where it is. If you look at California, you should know where California is. Okay, it's all the way to the left. Okay, the left is, you know, you'll have to figure out, it's not your right hand. If you're left-handed, it's the hand you write with, okay?
Okay, it's the thing that kind of looks like a banana.
It looks like a banana. It's all the way over there. And
I'm not saying California's a banana republic.
Yeah, it's not a banana republic. Okay, Clark County is that little dark brown area that just sits in the corner by Arizona. It sits right there. And then you can see right next to it is Nye County. Nye County is shaped like a hammer.
It's also shaped like an atomic bomb.
And Nye County you can see Clark County is getting hammered with higher rents, because we have a problem in our county where we have not enough building to accommodate the people that are coming. That's new homes and everything else. We don't have enough. We're one of the counties that has severe rent burden. We have a lot of renters that are just getting hammered every year with rents going up. This chart I thought was interesting. Now, here's another thing we found. Okay, this is from John Burns Research. It's the total new apartment supply. Now, what you see here is these are the cities where all apartments are being built. Now, the number on here is not apartment complexes, it's units, okay? So, Dallas is the most. They've added 20,000 apartment units, not complexes, but just a door, right, in the last 12 months. And then there's 55,000 under construction. So, Dallas, Phoenix, New York City, Austin, Atlanta, Houston, Newark. These are where people are going. I don't know why people are going to Newark. But every place on here, it makes sense. What's really surprised me when I saw this, if you had told me, I would expect Vegas to be in the top at least 10 or 15, but we're not. We're all the way down at the bottom, if you see. So in the last 12 months, we've only added 3,800. That's 2 weeks of people moving here. In the last year, Las Vegas has added 2 weeks of capacity for people. And then you can see we have another about 9,700, which is basically a month and a half. So we have enough apartments being built to house 2 months of people. And then new construction of homes, as you all know, those homes are all sold out. Everything that's under construction that's being built. Actually, most units, tell them about the unit you went to where they're not even taking an interest list and they haven't even started building. You just went to it. It's in the Symphony Park area, which is the redevelopment area downtown.
Right. So this is going to be a really cool development. If you're familiar at all with Las Vegas, there's been a lot of redevelopment in the southern part of downtown, right, where the Smith Center is. There's this area called Symphony Park, which is right across the street from the Smith Center, and they've put in some really nice trendy apartments, and now they're continuing that redevelopment. They're going to put 2 high-rises there. They're going to put some more mid-rises. They're going to put a grocer there that if you took Trader Joe's and you mushed it with Whole Foods, you would get this new grocer. They're going to have little restaurants and all kinds of things. It's going to be like this urban living thing kind of going on.
Trader Foods?
Yes. So it's going to be kind of fun.
Whole Joe's.
Okay, stop there because I think you're going to say something naughty after that.
The third one was going to be naughty.
I know.
I was going to bleep it out though.
Yes. So it's going to be this great thing. Anyway, the point is that they're putting in these high rises and these mid rises, and they will be putting together an interest list, and they're going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
So they start at just under $1 million. And what do you get for just under $1 million? You get just under 1,000 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be this really nice area. Obviously, it's going to be very affluent. It's going to be very, very livable, very walkable, all that sort of thing. Kind of this very gentrified New York kind of feel, I think.
Yeah. We don't have that in Vegas. If you're wondering, if you've been in New York City, there's no place in Las Vegas really that has the same feel as New York City.
No, so I mean, Las Vegas does have multiple high rises that are residential, but this is going to be a different feel because it's going to be an entire campus, if you will, of that. So it's going to be kind of cool. The
problem with Vegas's high rises is if you're downtown, you can't literally walk onto the street. You have to get in your car and drive out and drive somewhere.
Right. So the idea of this community is that you have everything there. You have your grocer, you have restaurants, you have health, you have nail salons, all that sort of thing, all within a walkable area. The other interesting thing is their parking. There's going to be very limited parking, so again, it's going to force that walkability. So it'll be interesting to see. But this is not going to add sufficient housing stock, going back to what you were talking about.
Yep.
It's not going to add sufficient housing stock. I mean, we're talking all these units put together between the 2 high-rises, the mid-rises. We're talking not even 500 units.
If you are waiting, if your strategy for not being a renter for the rest of your life is to pray for home prices to crash. There's a lot of forces fighting against you. And there's billions of, if not trillions of dollars of Wall Street money that's just waiting for any market for home prices to drop for them to come in and buy up more houses.
And it's not even that they're waiting for prices to drop, is that they're looking for signal that prices will rise. So when they see the signal that prices will rise, they will come in and purchase because they want to participate in that upward swing. So if you see them buying and you're thinking, oh, prices have dropped, not really. I think that they see the upside potential of that market.
And if you are waiting for the interest rates to fall substantially, by the time that happens, home prices will be substantially more than they are. You end up acquiring the house for more money than you could buy it today.
Right. You know, look, as people like to say, buy the dip. Well, this is the dip.
Yeah, the dip, look, the dip was over a decade ago. And if you didn't buy, then you're sort of stuck in this thing. And here's the thing. We get accused all the time. We've never said now's a good time to buy. It's not a good time to buy. Good time to buy was 2009, 10, 11, 12. That was a great time to buy. You didn't buy. Some of you did. There's a lot of people who that bought a bunch of homes during that time. So if you don't buy a house now, the houses that are for sale, one of two people will buy them. An investor or a homeowner, owner-occupant. And if the investor buys them, but either way, whoever buys that house is not likely to sell it in the next 7 years.
Correct.
They're likely to keep that house for a long period of time. So your opportunity to buy a house, I believe, is going to dwindle every year. I think this short lack of supply of homes is going to get worse before it gets better.
There is a solution.
There is a solution.
Yes.
What's the solution?
So if you own a house, you need to sell it because that will provide somebody else with a house. And we know just the people to help you sell it, us.
If you're tired of only paying $1,200 or less a month on your housing costs and would like to sell the house and become a renter, we can solve that problem for you.
If you're tired of paying only $5,000 a month and the person buying is going to pay $8,000 a month, we would be happy to help you out too. We are price agnostic.
We went and called all our investors and said, perhaps, have you been thinking about selling any of your numerous investment properties? And pretty much every one of them said, actually, we were thinking about calling you because we want to acquire some more properties. Right. We're like, what about the ones you have that you would want to sell those? No, we want to buy some more. We want to buy a bunch more. Even though the home prices are more, we see, what's getting ready to happen. So anyway, the reason why we did the video was we wanted to point out the data in this article because it supports this long-term idea that prices of homes will go up, that rents will keep going up. There's nothing that we have seen yet in any data that says home prices will crash, that there'll be some black swan event that would cause prices to fall. There is $7 trillion in cash sitting in money markets waiting to be deployed. I believe a lot of that would find its way into real estate if there was any softness in the real estate market. Right.
So the true reason we did the video is because, like I said at the beginning, Todd saw charts, and that means video.
The charts are pretty good. So you have to admit the charts were pretty good. So
pretty good.
Anyway.
All right. Hope you had some fun. You learned something. Maybe we brought something to your attention that you didn't know about before. If you want to know more about the downtown project or anything going on in Vegas, if you want to sell your property here in Vegas or anywhere else, give us a shout out and we will help you out. Please remember to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video. Hope you had a good time. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.